Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here, and we are looking at the third episode of Spider-Noir. Now, if you remember last week, the spider attacked Silvermane and warned him off of Ben Riley, and this caused him to delay Silvermane from going to the docks to check their whiskey shipment, and he missed being nabbed by the mayor. Or, I'm sorry, by the police. Don't want to skip ahead. Well, we open the next day, where Janet has come back to work, having been assured by Ben that he has fixed it. And Robbie, he's off to look up, so what's his name, Lonnie Lincoln, because he seems to know something about Addison, and he wants to get the lowdown from him. Now, Silvermane shows up. He wants to hire Ben. See, Silvermane has figured out the only way the cops could have set up a sting is if someone had informed them. And since only a few people knew about it, had to be someone in his organization. So he wants Ben to ferret them out. And he gives them money for a down payment. When looking over the bills, Ben realizes they've all been marked with a little symbol. Well, needing to find out who actually made the call for the raid, Ben pretends to be a police union rep and visits the wounded officers in the hospital in a great bit of comedy from Nick Cage, with this great high-pitched voice and this fast-talking patter. It's just a great little montage, and he finds out it all leads to the mayor having made the call. The mayor. Well, Robbie, meanwhile, is at the Hooverville, and he's looking for Lonnie when the cops come in to roust everyone. At which point, Lonnie shows up, and in the excitement, he starts to turn kind of stone-like, very indestructible, and he starts to fight the police. And then Flint comes out. He's turned to sand, and he's fighting the police, and they're just mopping the floor with him, and Robbie's clicking away. He knows this is his ticket back to the Daily Bugle and a regular column. Let's see. Now, Janet located Carmody, who had been the husband of the woman seeing the mayor. So Ben goes to see him, and after a bit back and forth, he admits he did not set anything up. He's what you would call a smut peddler. He finds out things, he takes pictures, and then he either sells them to the newspaper or blackmails the other person with them, or sometimes both. Well, he got a tip about that meeting, but he doesn't know who did it. So at this point, Ben realizes he's being followed by some of Silvermane's men. So he sneaks out the back way and goes to see Kat. He thinks She's the one that hired Addison to burn down the Silvermane's mansion, as well as tipping off the mayor about uh, the whiskey delivery. She gives him nothing. Then he goes to the club where she works. Or does she? She might live above the club, I'm not sure. I haven't quite figured that part out. But anyways, he runs into Winston. Winston is also looking for the stool pigeon. And he wants Ben to tell him first. Ben says, sure, but it'll cost him. So he gives him $100. Ben looks at the bill and notices it is marked in a different way. Later, back at the office, Robbie is telling them about the thing in Hooverville, and Janet shows that she found out that Lonnie, Flint, and Addison were all in the same outfit in the war and were all POWs together. Robbie goes to talk to Ben alone. Ben has superpowers. These guys have superpowers. Is there anything Ben's not telling him? Ben goes, I know nothing about this. But he does relay his suspicions about Cat. Let's see. Next, Ben goes to see. Well, he avoids a tail with the help of his friend, newsboy Frankie, and he goes to see Vera, Addison's widow. He believes she knows Cat hired Addison for the arson job. And if he knows, it'll soon be that Silvermane will know her life's in danger. She needs to get out of town. And she says, well, I could probably just peddle that information to Silvermane, unless you want to give me an offer. She demands $1,000. And he says he'll get it for her. But in exchange, she does not talk to Silvermane, and she gets out of town. Then he goes to Silvermane, and they have a little talk. Silvermane begins to realize Ben knows who the stoolie is, but as Ben tells him, I got no evidence. I got no proof. What good is thinking you know if you don't have any way to prove it? Good enough for Silvermane. Actually, the main reason Ben went there wasn't for that. He surreptitiously wets the latch on the balcony door of the penthouse. Let's see. Well, Robbie goes to the Bugle and tries using the photos as a way to get his job back. Well, these are great photos. Sure, he could write the story. He's the only witness. But this will have to be off the books. He'll have to be like a freelancer. Ben takes it and the money given to him. And he writes up the story. That night, the spider breaks into Silvermane's penthouse, and using his spider senses, opens his wall safe, takes out $1,000, almost gets caught because the latch is webbed. There's no connection to the door, and wind blew it open and shut. So he hides on the ceiling where no one can see him, above the canopy on the bed. And then later, he gets out. Now, while that was happening, Flint goes to see Cat. He's no longer sane. Maybe they could go away together. It's what they've always wanted. But when they kiss, he turns back into sand. He can't control it. It's just a pipe dream, and he leaves. Okay. Let's see. Now, earlier, in order for the spider to do his thing, Ben had to make sure he had an alibi, so he used Frankie to make it look like to the people that are following him he was in all night. The next day, he has Frankie follow Cat. He wants to know everywhere she goes, everyone she sees. And he gives Frankie some money because Frankie don't work for free. Robbie sees the paper and realizes they've rewritten his entire story. Now calls Lonnie and Flint monsters, and it was written in a way to make the cops seem heroic instead of the bully boys they were. Because, depression, cops were on the take. That was always a thing, especially in gangster fiction. And maybe in real life too. Anyway. Ben visibly goes to see Vera, gives her the money and tells her to get out of town. When he leaves, he's accosted by two men. And he's ready to beat the crap out of him until they tell him the mayor wants to see him. Why does the mayor want to see him? The mayor needs to talk to the spider. The spider's been seen, the whole Silvermane thing, last episode, and he needs to talk to him. Why Ben? Ben used to take pictures of him back in the day. I thought Ben was always a PI. Shouldn't it have been Robbie? Oh well. Ben says he'll see what he can do. Let's see. Okay. Frankie tells Ben Cat is heading to Grand Central. She's leaving town, so he goes to stop her. And Winston shows up with his men and says, "So, you're both in it together." "I thought so." And with guns out, they load him into a car and take him to a meeting with Silvermane out nowhere, where there's a hole pre-dug. Well, Winston makes his case for Ben, and just to make sure he's got the proof, he brings up Vera, who they beat up. She says, yeah, she's the one who hired me. And Ben's like, yeah, after you beat it into her, where's your real proof that I had anything to do with this, or Cat? So he has Vera give Silvermane the money Ben gave her. Silvermane takes a look at it. Then he shows it to Winston. They're all marked as money he pays to Winston. Winston says it's a frame-up. And here's where Ben gets really smart. He repeats back to Silvermane something he had said to him when he was hired. People lie. Money always tells the truth. And Vera immediately jumps on him and says, yeah, he beat me into saying that it was them. That's enough for Silvermane, and he shoots Winston, who falls into the hole. And then he turns towards the rest and fires a second shot directly at the camera. Who did he shoot? Well, we're going to have to wait till next week to find out. Obviously not Ben. He's the spider. He's got to be through this whole thing. But Cat, Vera, Winston's right-hand man, someone else? Gonna have to wait and see. Great episode. Ben's finally doing detective work. I love detective stuff, especially hard-boiled detective stuff. Dashiell Hammett, Raymond Chandler, Mickey Spillane, Ross McDonald, John McDonald. The biggies. Sarah Paretsky. Okay, I'm going to stop. Um, but yeah, you see him do detective work, and it's one of those great endings where when you start to think about it at the end, you realize what he was doing the whole way through and how he actually outsmarted everybody. He knew what was going on and planned accordingly. He grabbed Winston's money because he saw what Winston's mark was because he got money from Winston and gave it to Vera, not taking any measures to not be followed. This will probably now clear up uh, any thought of another stoolie, and Ben can now not need to work for him anymore. He thinks, he hopes. I do feel a little sorry for Robbie, but being it's the 30s and he is a minority, yeah, I'm not surprised he's getting jerked around by his old boss. There's a scene during the Hooverville fight where a cop comes to club Robbie and he holds up his press card. And the guy says, I don't care. It's just par for the course for him. Yeah, really, really good, really fun episode. Ben is really getting his groove back, and I like that. And his Bogart-ish voice is starting to come in a little stronger. Heck, probably by the end he'll be talking like this. I won't be a sap, see? Anyway, please hit like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.